Czym jest Polska? Tradycja, historia, jedność, szacunek dla starszych, gościnność, kombinowanie, narzekanie, załatwienie.
Czy prezydent Rzeczypospolitej Polskiej nadal panu obywatelstwo polskie?
Serio?
Tak.
No co ty?
Jestem polskim obywatelem, stary.
The following is a clip from a long-form conversation I recorded with Patrick Ney. If you don't know him, he's a very intriguing person. He's British born and bred, but he moved to Poland and decided to become Polish. That whole conversation is coming out soon. I sat down with him for almost 2 hours and we talked about awesome things. However, this clip you're about to watch breaks down his experiences of coming to Poland and his struggles with learning the Polish language as an Englishman. And I think his experiences apply fantastically the other way round to Polish people who would love to learn English. There's a lot of good pieces of advice, a lot of gems in this conversation that I think you could all apply. So enjoy the clip and look out for the whole conversation coming on my channel soon.
And when I first came here to live with my one-way ticket, which I'd never had before, like flight, buying somewhere one way, first thing I did when I got onto the tarmac was I knelt over it in a gesture which I've seen John Paul II do. I kissed the ground, I'm like, this is home and I'm going to make it here. Fuck what they tell me, what everyone tells me, my friends and my family. I'm going to survive here and I'm going to fly to him. It was not easy. Didn't speak the language at all. Literally came over like a small bag of different phrases. But I was super determined that I'm going to try and integrate this culture and society and not be the typical classic British expat. Everyone probably knows one who just like surface level lives in the country, speaks English, watches Premier League and doesn't understand this country. I'm here for the long haul. So I want to get in, get deep. So I tried to deliberately immerse myself in the language, stayed away from any foreigners, avoided the expat drinking holes. So I was lonely, man, like very lonely, questioning myself, is this the right decision? I ended up teaching English. Awesome. Which I discovered is super demanding and actually really relies on genuine knowledge. Oh, yeah. Not just being a foreign person, but also super in demand. It is, or it was at the time for sure, especially because there weren't so many foreigners in Poland. And huge respects. I'm like, oh my God, I suddenly realized how amazingly complex our language is. And they're like, why is it like this? And half the time I'm like, it just is this way. You're just going to have to do it. It's the easiest answer. Bro, it was my only answer, so I didn't know the answer because I hadn't done any proper training. So don't take a scammer in for an English teacher. Go to the professionals. And slowly but surely started to rebuild my life in Poland, worked in a bunch of different companies, started working in Polish companies in Polish, which was stress level like 1,000, itching, like 100,000 zloty projects in Polish. I'm shaking, I'm just somehow stumbling through it. And the kindness of Polish people this whole way, they've been so patient with me. If they've loved it from the few words that you speak all the way through to having a full-on conversation. And the richness of being able to explore this country in their language, not just taking someone else's word for it, but being able to speak with, I've interviewed the Polish Prime Minister twice in English and Polish, also stressful. I've interviewed war heroes, people who've been in the Warsaw Uprising, in the sewers. I was telling you earlier, people, shot traitors and German agents dead on the street. And I've heard from them in their own language what life was like for them. People who were solidarity, tortured and beaten, dark years of the 80s, reading books in Polish as well. So I have been able to immerse myself in this culture in a way that I know I never would have been able to if I didn't speak the language.
Which unlocks many opportunities and doors. So you fell in love with the girl, and you fell in love with her family, and you fell in love with the country. Have you always had such a love for country and been so patriotic? Or is that something that you discovered in Poland?
I think looking back now, it's a great question. I was a man kind of looking for a mission. So I'd been learning Creole, which is a local language from Sierra Leone. And I loved learning Creole because Creole is basically English, 17th, 18th century English from sailors that the slaves who came back to Syria, because they were the people who actually formed the country, they took from the sailors and they learnt it on board the ships. So it's freaky weird because it's kind of semi-Elizabethan English with bawdy sailors terms, like girls, for example, in Creole are titty down, which means those tits. which is sounds horrible in our English. Yeah, that's how they say it. Pickendam means boys, little pickets. So you've got this English you and I hardly recognize, kind of get. And I've been learning that for a few months. I also tried to learn a bit of Bangladeshi. So both of those attempts or ways that I wanted to get deeper into culture. I mean, the honest and quick answer is I've always been fascinated by people's stories. And for me, sitting on the bus or traveling around Poland and not being able to understand what people are talking, it's jibber jabber. Toy, like the whole electrical, what's wrong with my TV here, Or I think it was Oscar Wilde said it's like two burning bushes fighting with each other. Oh, wow. Yeah. For me, it's like the waves coming up against the ship in Mordnush. Huge. I loved listening to that. I just wanted to know what the F are they talking about. I'd sit on the bus and be like, I feel like a spy because I haven't got a way of speaking. So learning Polish was my absolute number one priority in that time, like more important than anything else. And I got to the point where, it's not going too bad. On the other hand, I was 28 when I started, and the older you get, the harder it is for sure. Your mind tends to slow down. I've been thinking about this morning. My mind doesn't work the same way. But one thing's for sure, I believe input equals output. You put the effort in, you actually spend hours learning, and it comes out the other side. If you're doing 20 minutes a week, you'll get 20 minutes out. I immerse myself, man. Like work was all in Polish, home's all in Polish. Me and my wife only speak Polish. I listened only to Polish radio, only Polish podcasts. And I know you're amazing, beautiful fans. We love you, like Daniel Lever's content. That's the way to do it, man. The more you put in, the more you get out.
That's why I used to do only content in English, those language content, because I want people to have the input. I've recently started doing more. I speak a bit more Polish in my videos, but I used to look down on that kind of. So it's it's an English lesson. Let's have English input. But according to the Foreign Service Institute, they categorize languages based on difficulty of learning them for English native speakers. Now they rank from category 1, which is the easiest, to category 5, which is the hardest. And Polish is a category 4, which was officially hard. It's not the hardest, not very hard, but it's hard. Damn it, man. How hard was it? How hard was it? And is there anything you're struggling with now still on this language journey?
I've definitely, like the Peter Principle, where you reach your own level of incompetence, right? So, damn, I was hoping it was going to be 5, man, because everyone does.
I know.
Polish is really hard. Let's burst that fucking bubble. It's not hard. It's only hard if you want to make it hard. So if you have one lesson a week and the rest of your life you spend in English, like we just said, you'll get 1 hour out. And if you don't do your homework, well, most expats don't do it, including me. So because I immersed myself, now I look back, it was significantly cognitively stretching, but it wasn't hard. If you really want something, you'll make it happen. So one of the things I find in language learning is set yourself your actual goal that you're looking for and work towards that goal, and don't neither exceed it nor go below it. If your journey is just to be conversational and have a little bit of chit chat at restaurants, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's still actually quite a lot of work to do. And make that your goal. For me, it was total immersion, but I've done it like a terrible way. Like I learned this person, then a little bit of that person, then on my own for a bit. So I know that I make quite a lot of grammatical mistakes, and half the time it's because my mind is faster than my mouth, or my mouth is faster than my mind. And I'm already know I'm making a mistake in Polish whilst I'm making it, and it's too late.
Yes.
And a lot of it is also accent. I came when I was 28. I know my accent breaks because of the way we conjugate words in Polish. I'm saying no, and they all hit L. I'm even saying it now, or I'm saying a word with at the end in order for it to be masculine, and it comes out sounding like an ah, so it's feminine, and people are like, "What the hell's wrong with it?" I've had more than one person say to me, "You speak Polish like you're someone with a mental illness." Like someone said that the other day, and I'm like, "Oh, bro, can't listen to this like it." But they're probably not wrong. But I'll tell you one thing, Daniel, I have never allowed my own incompetence to get in the way of my confidence. So I'm like, frick that, I'm just going to fucking speak whatever I want. I've never cared about the rules for grammar, probably to my detriment. I've always just wanted to communicate. And I know a lot of people who get stuck at the grammar level and they're like, because I can't say this grammatically, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, and you know that. You come across that all the time.
It's very common for Polish learners learning English.
I hear it sometimes. And what that means is that you don't get out there, you don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And language learning is all about being uncomfortable. And I know those like long, dark years of feeling like a fool in a room of Poles where I'm trying to listen to keep up and I feel like an idiot. And then when I speak, everyone's like watching the clocks as I try and put this sentence together. Or I'm trying to get across a point, you know, like banter, like weekend banter in English.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it. So I'm not as funny as I used to be. You know? And so like there's a lot of emotion to Baltic language learning. The experience of using the language outside of that has been painful. So yeah, like I'm now 15 years into this journey of learning Polish. I don't learn necessarily in a structured way anymore. I could probably do with another couple of years of like full on one-on-one, you know, support for me to just to polish the edges a little bit. But the honest reality is that Poland, if you speak this leopard Polish, you're already in like a very small group of people anyway. And people are just so amazed, you know, it's like literally some of the delight in their face, like opening a can, you're like, whoa, where you from? You know, those conversations are so fun to have and immensely enjoyable to have as well.
You're now reaping the rewards of all this kind of
For sure.
hard work.
For sure. And I could read in Polish and, you know, I get by and understand 99%. But then I'll go into a situation like I became a combat lifesaver, ratownik z pola walki in Polish. And all of a sudden we're talking about the spleen and the fucking kidneys and the collarbone of Wojciech. Because Wojciech, I'm having to Google refund.
He's uncomfortable.
She goes, she's a mechanic and there's a problem with the car. And he's like, well, there's a problem too. And I'm like, you know. I was in hospital when I got my head smacked in by these polski ballers.
They were Polish.
Yeah.
She didn't mention that in the book, and I was like, I wonder where that. I don't think I mentioned they were Polish.